Stone's throw away from the A1 and set in beautiful Lincolnshire countryside, Embryo's Norton Disney complex, which boasts 6 different lakes and fish to over 40 pounds, offers something for carp anglers of all abilities. With 72 hours at our disposal, it was Billy's Lake that we decided upon for a social. I was joined by Dave from Bosh Baits and Allan, who you'll recognise from previous blogs. When it came to pegs, we wanted to be in the middle of the lake. This would give us the best chance to cast onto showing fish. Dave managed to drop into peg 19. I was able to then drop into peg 20, and this gave Allan peg 21 and 22 to choose from when he arrived the following morning. One thing we hadn't anticipated was the weather. With 60-mile-an-hour winds gusting east to west to our front and a yellow weather warning, it was going to prove challenging. Billy's Lake is like a proverbial egg box with plenty of features for you to find. We had a decent amount of water between the three of us, with around 120 yards as my limit, 105 for Dave's and around 85 for Allan's. Allan and myself would be fishing in the shallower east end of the lake. Dave would be focusing on the deeper west end of the lake. Norton Disney is one of these new school lakes that actually give you the topography of the lake once you arrive. This allows anglers to more easily locate fish and look at where they may be holed up if they're not necessarily giving themselves away. Whilst I'm not a particular fan of this, I do like to try and glean as much information on the lake prior to going. And one app that I use to do this is the Google Earth app, which I download and put onto my MacBook, and you can do the same on your laptop. This app allows me to move back through time, looking at the lake over the various stages of it. Where this is an absolute benefit is that it allows me to go back to the point that the lake was still a working quarry site and identify various features, which, when I correspond with the topography of the lake and the map that they have at Billy's, I can identify features that are still there and areas which I really do think are going to hold fish. The other great thing about this is that on the Google Earth app, I can actually mark out exactly how far those features are from the peg. When I get to the lake, it's just a matter of wrapping up, getting a lead on, making sure that I locate that feature, and once I've confirmed it, I already know that I'm fishing over something where I believe the fish will visit. Using this method, we'd located 3 areas we thought the fish would be held up. Dave would be fishing in close in, at around 12 rod lengths out. He found a nice bar, which was essentially in the entrance towards the island over to his right. Myself, I'd located a spot at around 80 or 90 yards, and this came from the deep water, rising up, and it produced a nice area where I was confident the fish would be. Allan had what I thought was going to be the most productive area of the session. To his front he had a plateau, which at the right time of year you can actually see the ducks and the geese stood on, as it's only about half a foot deep. He was going to be fishing maybe about half a rod length just short of this, in water which was about 6 or 7 feet deep. We'd seen fish showing the night before he arrived, and we're absolutely confident that if any of us were going to have it off on this session, it was most likely going to be him. You only have to have seen a few of the quarter videos to know that at Norton Disney they love house pellets and corn, and this was going to be the foundation of my approach. Large beds of corn mixed with a little bit of house pellet and then crushed boilies over the top. On this I was going to be presenting 3 solid bags. Inside the solid bags I was going to be fishing purely house pellets that had been glugged in Kraken and allergy soak. This was what we were going to hope would be key to our success for the weekend. That first night passed very uneventfully and the rods remained quiet. Early the next morning, as the gates opened and the flurry of traffic arrived to enter Norton Disney, Allan eventually showed up. Whilst he was unpacking his stuff, Dave and myself decided that it was probably a good moment to just have a rethink. We started by prepping our rods again and just putting some fresh bait out on the spot, hoping that the fresh sound of the spot hitting the water would entice the fish down onto our areas. Once Allan had unpacked his stuff, I moved over to his swim. It's the first time he'd been to Norton Disney, and I was going to give him a hand finding some features. After some leading round and confirmation of the spots that I thought I'd found on Google Earth, he eventually settled on fishing the plateau, but just short of it in the slightly deeper water. The wind was proving to be a nightmare, and he was suffering some catastrophic wind knots. Eventually though, we managed to get a good amount of bait out onto his spot. He got 3 rods out and was happy. It was now time to wait for the first action to happen. We continued to work really hard the rest of the afternoon and battled the wind, topping up the spots with 4 or 5 spots every few hours, as well as replacing the solid bags every 45 minutes to an hour and a half. We hoped that the fresh change would eventually attract the fish down. At about 5:30 we decided to have a social on my peg. Allan went and got some steaks from the catering van at Norton Disney, and we sat around having a chat and chewing the fat. It wasn't long before that hard work started to pay off.
Well, you'll have to excuse the wild look that I've got going on here.
But it's taken nearly 24 hours now. We're finally into our first fish here at Norton Disney, and it's this proper little chunk. This came to an allergy pop-up in washed out pink that I trimmed down inside a solid bag and basically been tram lining the rods, and this was the middle one that went off. So it's taken a while, but essentially what I've been doing is feeding a mixture. I'd say 80% corn, about 10% pellets, and then maybe 10% boilie on top, and this is the result. It's been hard, hasn't it? Yes. Let's have a look at the other side. Ooh. Properly good conditioned fish, isn't it? Got a nice little orange spot there. I don't think the camera will pick that up. Oh, I can't get him. He's such an odd shape. Hey, noddy.
He's mugging you right off.
He is. He's like, rather than being stiff, he's just gone too like loose. There you go. There's the other side. Not going to complain at that. Need to weigh him. Don't know what the weight is, but I'd guess maybe around 14-15 pounds, if that. But I mean, who really cares? Right. One last look at this side, and I'll pause for some stills, and then we'll get it back.
And again. Perfect.
Yeah.
Boom. Mate, what a stunner. Well, YouTube, it's about coming up 11:30 at night now, and to be honest, I've gone to bed early because I'd had a banging headache and just had an absolute screamer of a take on the middle rod again on another mulberry fizz, and yeah, this is the culprit. She's gone 24.06 on the scales, but I still need to zero the sling, so we'll find out. But it's low 20, high teen, and it's a stunning fish. Couldn't resist the mulberry fizz. Luckily, Al's come along to give us a hand. Oh, you're very angry. Chill out. Oh, it's almost linear, not quite, but it's this lovely, like, I don't know, it's a weird colour at the front. It's like, I don't know, what would you say, Al?
Yeah, sort of yellowish.
Yeah.
Yellowy green.
Is the camera picking that up? Yeah.
Not massively. You can still see like the flecks of purple in it as well.
It's in focus though, yeah?
Yeah, it's looking nice.
Right, I'm going to pause for a few pictures and then we'll get her back. Okay. Right then, guys. Well, it's coming at 4 o'clock in the morning. Just lost one about half an hour ago, and then this absolute beauty rips off. Just a bit of scale damage there. This one's been through the water a bit by the looks of it from other anglers. It's just a bit too much scale damage on it for my liking for a fish so young. Let's just push you down there. One of the rules of this place is that you got to have this. Every carp angler should have this on them anyway, but yeah, it looks like some haven't been using it. Let's just get that on there. When you're using this, lad, don't just put it on and then pour water on and think it's going to be alright. You've got to be gentle with it. You want it to create a nice seal. If it doesn't, then it's pointless anyway. There we go. It kind of becomes textured and lumpy when you do, so you'll know it's right. Right then, so let's have a look at our prize. This is another one that's come to the mulberry fizz. Gonna pop up, and the spot's really starting to kick off now. I've had 4 bites off it this evening and 3 fish, so let me just move a bit closer to the map. we're a bit stuck here. Yeah, so that's 3. I think that's how many bites? Let me think. There's 3. There we go. So that's fish number 3 off the same spot, and yeah, I've had 3 bites this evening. All of the mulberry fish, all off the same spot. So just feeding that spot up over the last day has really paid off, because the fish are really starting to get on it now. And yeah, don't I know about it. Oh, let's just have a look at the other side. And there's another bit of damage there. So sometimes in a fight, scales do just lift. It is part of it. It's similar to what happens when they go through spawning, but just make sure, lads, if that's the case, you get in some water on it, and you get in the carp care on it after you've finished, so that those fish heal and yeah, live to fight another day in pristine condition, because these carp in Norton are absolutely pristine. So let's have a look at this side. You gonna be a good girl? Yeah, there you go. Look at that. So 19 pounds of Billy's like mirror carp. I'm buzzing with this one, really happy with it. Spent the last couple of days building that spot up, well, the last 24 hours really, and nothing happened. And I was starting to think maybe we need to move tomorrow, but now I think we'll stick it out and see what we can do. Got 2 rods to get back out on the spot now, and we'll go again from there. So I'll just pause for some pictures and then we'll go.
The flurry of activity lasted until about 3 AM. After that, I lost 1 more fish. That morning, we woke up, made ourselves some crumpets, and it was time for Dave to pack away. That just left Allan and myself. He hadn't received a bleep in over 24 hours, so at this point he was eager to look for some new spots, rebait, and get going again with renewed energy. Unfortunately for myself, the remainder of that day remained relatively quiet as well. I had some catastrophic failures. I snapped one of my rods, and the gusts eventually got the better of me, blowing my camera and the equipment into the lake. What I was able to salvage of the kit, I had to film the remainder of the vlog on my iPhone. Unfortunately for us, nothing else happened throughout that second night, and having already broken 1 rod and spent a lot of money ruining a lot of camera equipment, I was quite keen to make a move the next morning, having totally and utterly been defeated. It wasn't a bad session by any stretch of the imaginations, just a very expensive one. Unfortunately, Allan blanked and so did Dave, but we're all going to be back there soon, ready to take on Norton Disney and feel like we actually get the better of it this time. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe and share. I've now got my camera working again, and next time, rather than me talking and narrating over the top, I'll be back in front of it. If you're out on the bank, tight lines and wet nets, and I'll see you again soon.